Rags Limited manufactures and sells
Not CRD3. CRD4 is completed, which is similar to CRD2. The difference is only the values. Okay. Now CRD3 is a very important. Please focus.
CRD3. A company manufactures a single product which requires two components.
A company manufactures a single product which requires two components.
The company purchases one of the components from two suppliers, X Limited and Y Limited.
Now the company purchases one of its components from X and Y.
The price quoted by X Limited is rupees 180 per 100 units of component.
Now the price quoted by X Limited 180 rupees per 100 units of component. Then tell me now per unit how much? 1.8. Yes or no? Next.
And it is found that on average 3% of total receipt from the supplier is defective.
It is found that on an average 3% of the total receipts from the product, total receipts from the supplier X is 3% is defective. You observe that. If you purchase from X, that on the total receipts from the X, we are observed that there is on an average 3% is defective. For example, I am purchasing 100 units from X. Then how much of the defective? 3. Then 97 is good units and 3 units is defective. Next.
The corresponding quotation from Y Limited is rupees 174 per 100 units.
Corresponding quotation from Y Limited, that is 1.74 per unit, 100 units, 174 rupees. Now, with a defective rate is 5% of the defectives are not deducted. That means the total purchase from the Y, the company observed that 5% is defective. If I am ordering 100 units from Y, then how many units are defective? 5. Then what about 95? Good units. If you purchase from X, only the defective rate is 3%. But the cost is 180. But here 174. Yes or no?
If the defectives are not detected, they are utilized in production, causing a damage of rupees 180 per 100 units of the defective component.
Now, very important. If these defectives are not identified during the inspection, that means directly I am purchased from the X. I am unable to detect this defective. Then these defective units, defective raw material enter into the production and causes damage. How many units? 100 units of defective component. We are incurring causing damage 180. 1.8 per unit. Yes or no?
The company intends to introduce a system of inspection for the components on receipt.
Now, the company intends to introduce a system of inspection for the component on receipt. Now, the company wants to implement the TQM process. Now, the company wants to implement the inspection process in the organization.
The inspection cost is estimated at rupees 24 per 100 units of the component.
The inspection cost is estimated 24 rupees for 100 units. For 1 unit, 0.24.
Such an inspection will be able to detect only 90% of the defective components received.
Sir, here, if you implement the inspection, during the inspection, we will only detect 90% only. We will detect only 90% of defectives only we are find out. And remaining 10% is enter into the production and causing the damage. Do you observe what I mean? Next.
No payment will be made for components found to be defective in inspection.
Now, no payment made to this X and Y when we find out the defective units. So, total payment or only for the defective payments we are stopping? We are not making the payment only for defective payments, not for entire raw material. Yes or no? Sir, I am purchasing 100 units. Only 3 units I identify the defective. then how much I will pay for 97 units only? These 3 units I will not pay. Why? Because these are the defective material. Do you understand what I'm saying? Next.
Required. Please justify the inspection at the point of receipt and give your working for the same.
Please justify the inspection at the point of the receipt and give your working for the same. Now they are asking you whether the implementation of the inspection is the best or not. Okay. Then how can I take the decision, sir? What is the total cost before inspection? What is the total cost after inspection? Then we will choose which option you will incur low cost. What is the total cost incurred by the company before inspection? What is the total cost incurred by the company after inspection? Then compare these two costs and take the decision. Next.
Assuming a total requirement of 10,000 units, ascertain the lowest supplier.
Now assuming the total requirement of the raw material is only 10,000 units, and ascertain who is the best. Who is the best supplier for us? X or Y? How can I choose? Cost. Again, cost comparison. Please read the question. Everybody focus on the screen. I will explain the question. Now here company manufacture only single product. This single product requires two components. But here the problem is given for only for one component. In these two components, one component is purchased from two suppliers. Supplier X. Purchase from supplier X and purchase from supplier Y. Now, this how many annual requirement means? 10,000 units. How much is the annual requirement of the raw material? 10,000 units. If you purchase from the supplier X, they observe that 3% is defective. 3% is defective. If you purchase from Y, 5% is defective. Okay. Now, the purchase price from the supplier X is 180 rupees for 100 units. What is the rate for 1 unit? 1.8. Now, from the supplier Y, 174 for 100 units. For 1 unit, 1. Okay. Now, what happened means this defective 3%, this 5% defective enter into our production process. Enter into our. Now, in this production process, these units creates a huge damage for us. How much? 180 rupees for 100. 100 which units? Defective units. How much are the production cost to us? 1.8 per unit. When these defective units enter into the production. Now, because of this, now the company wants to implement the inspection process. Implement the inspection process. Why I'm explaining like this means, during examination when you face new question, this is a way to interpret the question. Do you understand what I'm saying? This is a way how to interpret the question. Whenever in future you will face any new question, this is a way to read the question. At least 50% you will do correct. Now the company want to eliminate all these damages, production damages. Now the company wants to implement the inspection process. Now what happened means, after inspection also our annual requirement is only the 10,000 units only. Now here, how many suppliers are there? Supplier X and supplier Y. Now they are purchased 180 rupees for 100 units. Here also 174 rupees for 100 units. But now what happened means, while purchasing the raw material, our company implement the inspection process. During the inspection, they find out 90% only. How much? 90% only they deducted. What they deducted, they will not make the payment for the defective units. The company will not make any payment to the suppliers with respect to only defective units, not entire total raw material. మొత్తం సంబంధించిన రా మెటీరియల్ గురించి కాదు, ఓన్లీ డిఫెక్టివ్ యూనిట్స్ మాత్రం పేమెంట్ చేయరు. They will not make any payment regarding the defective units which are observed during the inspection process. Now they deducted 100% or only 90%? 90. That means here 10% is entered into the production process, right? Now this 10% process, 10% defective enter into the process and cause the damage 180 rupees for 100 normal units or defective units? Defective units. అవి ప్రొడక్షన్ ప్రాసెస్లో ఎంటర్ అవ్వటం వల్ల మనకు వచ్చిన లాస్ ఏంటంటే 100 యూనిట్స్కి 180, 100 డిఫెక్టివ్ యూనిట్స్కి. ఓకే, now the requirement is implementation of inspection is correct or before inspection is correct. Okay, now the annual requirement is 10,000. Now choose which supplier they want to purchase and also in which scenario, inspection or before inspection or after inspection. This is the requirement. How many cases are there here? First question, 4 cases. Case number 1, purchase from the supplier X before inspection, purchase from the supplier Y before inspection, purchase from supplier X after inspection, purchase from the supplier Y after inspection. Where our company will incur low cost, choose that one. Do you understand? Yes or no? Tell me now, how many people sir understand this question? Please read the question. I will give 1 minute time. Are you feel comfortable? Can I start? Calculation of total cost without inspection. Particulars, supplier X. Now, what is the annual don't stop writing. Everybody focus on the screen. Don't write anything. What is the annual requirement of what is the annual requirement? From supplier X, 10,000 units. Supplier Y. First, I am going to discuss only supplier X. Please focus. Sir, I purchased from the supplier X how many units? 10,000 units. Without inspection. Yes or no? Now focus. How much of the defective units I observe? 3. That is, sorry. Yes, 300. 300 units is defective. Right? Now tell me the good units. 9,000. Tell me the purchase price. Now here, calculate the purchase price. 17,000. 17,000. 17,000. 17,000. 17,000. 17,000. Sir, pitch ekin sir meeku. Please focus here. Here we are purchasing without inspection. Yes or no? When we will not make payment for defective units, when you implement the inspection. Here we don't do any inspection. So we will make full payment. Yes or no? Now here the purchase price is 180 rupees for 100 units for 1 unit. Now 10,000 into 1.8. Now the purchase price is 18,000. Yes or no? Sir, then why you calculate the defective? Why you calculate defective then? Sir, we will make, yes, correct. Now these 300 units are enter into the production. Yes or no? Because we will not inspect any raw material, right? Yes or no? Now these 300 defective units are enter into the production and causes 180 rupees for 100 units of defective. Now production damage cost. ₹100 for, sir, 180 rupees for 100 per unit. How much? 1.8. 300 into 1.8. How much? 540. This is my production damage because of these defective units. In order to avoid this, that's why we implement inspection process. Yes or no? Now, what is the total cost? What is the total cost? 18,540. Cost for good unit. Cost for good unit. 18,540 divided by 9,700. How much? 1 point per unit. Yes or no? Tell me for 100 units. 191. Now, come to here. Supplier Y. The annual requirement is 10,000. But the defective rate from supplier Y is 5%. How much? 5, 500 units. Then tell me the good units. 9,100. But we will make the payment for 10,000 units because we don't implement any inspection to identify this defective. Yes or no? Now 9,500 into 10,000 into for 1 unit how much? 174 rupees for 100 units. 17,400. Very good. These 500 units enter into the production process and cause damage 1.8 per unit. How many enter into the production? 500 into 1.8. 900. Now the total cost incurred 18,300. Now cost for good unit is here how many good units? 1.93 per unit. Here 9,500 only good units. Yes or no? Now for 100 units, 191, 193. This is the price cost we incurred before inspection. Please try to solve up to here. Thereafter I will do with inspection. Anybody have any doubt? Anybody have any doubt? Anybody have any doubt? No? Can I move to the next? Completed? Can I wait 1 more minute? Yes? Okay. Speed up. Before completion of the syllabus, you will be strong in any one subject from each group 3 or group 4. You don't worry. I will make you strong in my SAM. The minimum mark of my student is 55 marks. Please, పరువు తీసి అంతకంటే తక్కువ రావద్దు. Can I move to the next? Calculation of the total cost after inspection. Feeling bore? No. Bore? Feeling sleep? Calculation of the total cost after implementing the inspection. Now, particulars supplier X, supplier Y. What is the annual requirement? $10,000 units. 10,000 units. Now, Come to here. How many units are defective? 3% only. From why? Five percent means 500. Then good units is 9,000. Here. Now focus here. We are implementing the inspection process. Yes or no? How many units are identified during the inspection process? 90%. Yes or no? Defective identified during inspection. Defective identified during inspection. That is 90% of and 90% of 500. How much? 270, 450. Yes or no? But we will make the payment for only now making the payment for 10,000 units minus 270. Yes or no? What do you observe during the inspection process? We will not make any payment for the defective units. I am observing that only 270 is my defective units. Yes or no? Now, so we will make the payment for how many units? 10,000 minus 270? 9,000. Here, 10,000 minus 450. 9,000. I will make the payment. But how many good units are there? But what is this 30 units? Non-defective units, but not identified during the inspection. These 30 units are entering into the production process and causing the damage to me. Yes or no? Now, number of units, number of defective units not identified. Thirty units. Sir, simple, sir. Total defective is 300, but identify is 270. Unidentified is 30. Up to here, clear? Total 500. Identify is 450. 50 units. Now, calculate the purchase cost. Now, how many units will make the payment for how many units? 9,730 for 1 unit from supplier X, right? 9,730 into 1.8. How much? 514. Here 9,550 into 1.74, right? 16,000. Okay, this is my purchase cost. Is there any production damage? Yes. There are unidentified defectives are there. Now they are entering to the production process and they causes the damage to me. Yes or no? Production damage. For 1 unit, how much? 1.8 per unit. 30 into 1.8, how much? 50 into 1.8. 90. Now total cost. Inspection, sorry. Yes. Yes. Inspection cost. Inspection cost is for 1 unit. How much are they incurring? 0.24 per unit. How many units are inspected by you? 10,000 units are inspected by you, and during that inspection, you identify that 300 units are 270 are defective. That means each and every unit is inspected by you or not? Then 10,000 units into how much? Here. Now the total cost is 19,000. Okay, okay, yes. 19,968. Here 19,000. Now cost per good unit. Divided by 9,700. Divided by 9,500. 2.0. Here 0.1 per 100 units. Per 100 units 205. Now tell me now, in all these four scenarios, which supplier is the best? Which scenario is the best? Supplier X without inspection. Why? Because you will incur the low cost. Yes or no? Now, what is the second requirement here? Assuming the total requirement is asset in the lowest supplier. Here, supplier X lowest supplier only, right? Yes, without purchasing and pet the bond. 1 minute per decision right. Please wait. Purchase from the supplier X without inspection. Because company will incur the low cost. Please note on this. Anybody have any doubt in this question? Anybody have any doubt in the question? Can I leave the class? Here. Statement. Up to here completed. Can I wait one more minute? Sir, up to here completed. Up to here completed or not? Can I wait?